All right, we're back. Happy Halloween. uh, as you see, Maverick's a pumpkin.
I'm a pumpkin.
It's pretty good. I was a fish man on vacation, and then I ripped the. So now I have a little flappy flap. So that. So that's there. But Halloween, it's overtime. Episode 26, I think.
No idea.
I think that
It's your
sounds
job.
right.
Keep track of these things.
Clover time. Clover time.
Clover time.
Cloverfield, I think, was episode 25, so I think this is 26. But episode 26, and this time we're watching Trick or Treat from 2007.
Rick our tree.
Don't. If you didn't catch the end of what was the last podcast? Halloween Kills. I always said I used to pronounce it Trick or Treat, but that's not right. I'm just dumb. So
Oh, really?
it's just Trick or Treat. Yeah.
Is it not Trick our tree?
I always thought it was Trick or Treat, but I was watching something else and it was Trick or Treat. So maybe they were dumb and it is Trick or Treat, but
I'm pretty sure it is Trick our tree.
I don't know. But
It is.
well, I know it's written Trick or Treat, but it's also just written Trick or Treat. Wait, Trick or Treat. Anyway, Trick or Treat from 2007. Uh,
It was a good pick. I enjoyed it.
that's why it's just a fun. It's like when I was watching it, it's just a perfect. It's short. It's like an hour 20. I told you it was short.
Yeah,
It's just a perfect, just nonsense Halloween movie.
it is. It's like
So
a mishmash of fucking
yeah,
supernatural Halloween-esque shit.
yeah. There is every. I mean, there's fucking werewolves and zombies
Vampires,
and
zombies,
yeah,
little kids.
little
Them motherfuckers are
kids,
scary.
scary. Um, but anyway, I'm gonna rock an 8 for Trick or Treat.
Damn. Okay.
I liked it a lot.
I liked it. A good bit. It's a seven. A seven is
7. That's a
good.
respectable score.
Yeah, for sure. It was a good one.
Yeah. So anyway, excuse me while I try to see through this. I keep hitting emergency call on my phone.
Fuck.
So anyway,
Got an
hey,
emergency though.
what?
What? You got an emergency over there?
Yeah, man, an emergency is this mask sucks. But anyway, spoiler warning for Trick or Treat. We're gonna ruin everything about it. So you've been warned.
You have been warned.
Yeah. Uh, movie starts off with this couple walking down the road, married couple, and
Are
the
they married?
wife. What?
Are they married?
I assume so.
I don't
I
know.
mean, they're living together. I guess you don't have to be married to live together, but I don't know. Either way, the wife's being a total bitch. Like
Wow.
I don't know. She doesn't even give a reason. She just hates Halloween. That's just her whole thing. And she's like, get all this shit out of here. I'm gonna pick all this shit up. Which is crazy because it's already dark and that yard is stacked with all types of decorations. She'd be out there till
Yeah, insane why she
yeah.
wants to take it all down Halloween night. Like, what the fuck?
It's wild. And they have these jack o' lanterns, and she's like gonna go put them out. And the husband's like, "Oh, you're supposed to leave them lit. It's tradition." And she's like, "Fuck tradition," and she blows them out. And I really like
Fuck
because
tradition, and she stomps it. She
that's
fucking kicks
yeah,
it
because across the
across the
street
yard. It hits a kid. He cries.
he cries. Across the street, they're being watched at through some eyes. You don't know who's watching them yet. But as she gets rid of the jack o' lantern, you hear a little like he can't believe it.
Baby, I'm lit, and you're lit.
honey,
Your little friend here, this night's over.
And so anyway, she's like, I'm gonna clean up this yard. I think her parents were coming to visit like the next
Yeah,
day.
she said her mom was coming.
Yeah.
Um, and something about her mom having uh, like a heart attack or an aneurysm if she
Uh-huh.
saw that all the decorations were still up.
Yeah.
And
Even
the
though it was
husband,
just
I'm guessing,
Halloween, so why the fuck?
yeah, that's fucking weird. And the husband, I thought it was funny. He was like, "Really?" Like he was excited the
Yeah,
mother-in-law would die. I was like, "Oh shit."
yeah. But yeah, so she's gonna clean up. Dude's all horned up, so his wife gives him permission to put on like their sex tape that they made from some time, you know.
No, that wasn't their sex tape. It was just a sex. It was
No,
like
I
a
think that was
porno.
them. I think that was
No, it was
her.
porno. It was for sure a
I'm
porno.
pretty sure it was her.
I don't think you're right.
Agree. I'm pretty sure you're not right, you little pumpkin bastard. But anyway, so she starts taking all this stuff down. Um, as she's doing this, she's like, she looks across the street and there's just some random dude standing there staring at her. And like they give you like a little bit of like, ooh, is this gonna be the guy who was watching? But then it's just like a teenager that was waiting on his friends to come pick him up.
Yeah, come pick him up.
Yeah, and so she's like, she got all nervous, but then she's like, oh, okay, it's just a fucking dickhead. Um,
Some little kid.
yeah.
Scary.
Um, then she's going and picking shit up again, and she goes to like move down this sheet or something, and she starts getting attacked by what we can't see at first, but she's getting attacked. She starts screaming, and the husband upstairs hears her screaming, but he's all drunk and he thinks it's just from the sex tape, so he doesn't come down to see what's going on. Um, you see the wife get killed by like this orange lollipop that's been bitten, so it's like sharp and used as a knife, and it's like a slash, and you see the blood. The blood's like steaming and shit. It's like, it's like, well, I guess it's October. It's probably cold out there, but blood splatters everywhere. Um, and then the next morning, the husband, or it was still that night, so I guess he just passed out for a little bit and then woke up. Um, but he wakes up, he goes out looking for her, and then he finds her strung up on a cross with the lollipop like shoved in her mouth, and like she's just all fucked up. And he's like, ah, and then it cuts to like a comic book intro and shit. It was really cool. And that's how the movie is set up. Now, after that setup is done, it's time for Thomas to evolve. Back.
Wait. You gotta do like a puff of smoke, in the fucking
Puff
video.
of smoke, yeah, okay. Well, there you go. There was a puff of smoke. No. But anyway, fuck that mask. We're back to just my costume is a man on vacation in Hawaii. So there you go. But anyway, yeah. So then after the credits go by, which like I said, I really like the credits. They were in like the shape of comic book, fucking what are they called? They're called frames, maybe comic book frames. Anyway, but it goes to a Halloween shop where you see this little kid perving on some girls who are like getting dressed, or should I say undressed, in the changing room. And fun fact, Maverick, that is in fact little Sam, who's the kid in this movie who is causing all the trouble.
Who?
Sam? Oh, you probably don't know his name. Mostly because they never say his name, but the guy's name is Sam. That little the dude with the sack on his head, the little kid.
Oh, that was him? The little kid?
Yeah, that was just his actor. That wasn't the character he was playing. But the kid, yeah, peeking on the girls, that was the kid who's playing Sam through the whole movie. But anyway, he's perving on some chicks, and they're getting dressed and changed and shit. And they're just talking about, like, getting railed.
Was that? I thought one of them was, like, lesbian, talking about eating chicks or something like that. And I was like, what?
Yeah, like, yeah, there's a bunch of where when you go back and look, because it's the same group of women who later on have their twist at the end or whatever. So, like, what they're talking about has a different meaning now when you go back and listen. But yeah. I can't remember exactly what they were saying at the time. But, anyway, so, yeah, he pervs on them. They're like, they giggle and they go walking out of the store or whatever. Then it cuts to that fat kid from Bad Santa, who I don't know his name. Um, but he's just walking down the road doing he's a big Smashing Pumpkins fans, and he's just kicking these fucking pumpkins and shit. Um, and it's weird how to say this because this movie cuts in between all the different characters, so it's gonna be it all lines up, so it's a little bit disorganized. But yeah, you see Bad Santa Kid, he's going kicking pumpkins and shit. Then it cuts back to the group of girls, and the main one who was Sookie from True Blood. If anyone watched True Blood out there, fuck you. There is saying that she's a virgin, and she's like, I know it's all it's cringy to say or whatever, but I've always wanted my first time to be special or whatever. So basically, they're on a mission to get her laid or to take her virginity. It cuts back to Bad Santa Kid, and he's walking down the street, and then he goes up to a house that has like the bowl of a candy or whatever, and he starts to steal it all. And then the guy who lives there is behind him, and it's like, hey, what are you doing? And it turns out, I can't remember, his name's like Principal Roberts or something.
Yeah, he's the principal of some school.
He's the principal of some school that has some very questionable teachers that I'll bring up later. But yeah, and he sits down on the stairs and he's like, go ahead, eat your chocolate. And he's just sitting there like telling him some bullshit about when he was a kid. He used to steal candy and all this shit. And this goes on for a couple minutes, and then Bad Santa Kid starts like burping,
Coughing.
And then he's like and coughing and shit, and he's like, oh yeah, you forgot, you're always supposed to check your candy. And then Bad Santa Kid throws up the grossest looking like
chocolate lava,
chocolate mixed with blood, like just gross. And it's gross. I'll play it here, but it's just like, it's the grossest sounding shit.
Trick or
yeah, and Bad Santa Kid's dead.
Yeah, he passes out.
Yeah.
Or I guess he would. I mean, it looks like he just passes out, but I'm pretty sure he died.
Well, we know he's dead for sure later, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I got confused though because after that, the guy goes back inside, and as he's like trying to get rid of the body, there's like a knock on the door, and he like gives these kids fucking candy and shit. And then this is when we get our first look at Sam, who's the little kid in the fucking thing, and he like gives Sam like a chocolate bar, and Sam walks away or whatever. Basically, this whole movie well, I guess all the stories kind of line up, but interwoven throughout them, Sam is like the constant. He's in like every one at one point. He's just he's like I think people have said he's like a guardian of Halloween or something. He's just there to watch over everything. But
he does more than just watch over.
Oh yeah, he gets involved. But anyway, so you get this whole bit where the kids knock on the door and he's like covered in blood, and they're like, "Man, that's a good Halloween costume,"
Talking about the principal.
The principal, yeah. The kids he gives the candies to. The kids he gives the candy to, they also come back, and they're a different story. So all the people in these things always come back. But so then this is when I said I got confused, because he goes out back to like bury a body. I thought he was burying the Bad Santa Kid, but
he not?
No, I don't think he is, because
I think he is.
Well, he's burying him, and you get a whole thing where he's trying to bury the kid, and then like
his little kid would interrupt.
The neighbor comes out and like starts yelling, and he's like, "What are you doing? Burying bodies down there?" And the guy's like, "Ha ha," But as he's talking to the neighbor, whoever's down there wakes up, and so he just starts like kicking him in the head.
There's fucking. So dude goes to the principal has a hole in his backyard, a shallow grave, and he, what I'm assuming is, has the Bad Santa Kid that just died wrapped up in a blanket.
Yeah.
shoves him down the hole, and then you see there's another body down there. And then you get the line, "Happy Halloween." Principal,
Yeah.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
So he has two bodies in this grave. One, I'm assuming, is the
Okay.
bad Santa kid that just died.
All right.
And then the fucking he's down there hiding from the next door neighbor. You get a conversation between those two. And then the little kid wakes up and like whoever the fuck it is in that hole grabs the principal's leg.
Yeah.
And he's like kicking him and fucking takes a shovel to his head.
Yeah, he like his death is brutal. Like you don't really see it, but he just gives like a straight shovel shot to the head or whatever.
Yeah, to whoever was already in the hole.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, and like the neighbors go inside and the guy's like Happy Halloween and the guy's like go fuck yourself or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, the guy finally he gets done killing who's ever down there. He buries him. As he's walking into the house, the neighbor next door is at his window and he's knocking on it, and you can kind of make out that he's saying "Help me."
Yeah,
and
he says, "Help me."
Yeah, and the guy's like Happy Halloween, asshole, and goes walking in and just ignores him. So then
the neighbor gets tackled.
Yeah.
As the principal's walking inside, he doesn't see it.
Yeah.
But the neighbor gets tackled by someone in his house.
Yeah. And so this is why I say I was confused, is because then when the dad goes into the house, first off, his kid jumps out with this mask on, and it plays like the loudest sound effect in the world. Scared the shit out of me. I was like, God damn.
And the dad.
Yeah, it scared the dad too. And so what they do from here on out is because the kid's like, I need help carving the jack-o'-lantern. I need help with the eyes and stuff. And the guy's like, all right, let's go to the basement. And they make it out like he's about to kill his kid because we already know he's clearly, a sociopath and a serial killer and all this shit. And they go down there, and then the kid goes walking over the table, and it lingers on the dad, and it just shows you him like, ah, and you hear it stab into something. And you're like, oh shit, did he kill his kid? But then when it pans down, it's the bad Santa kid's head. And so that's going to be the jack-o'-lantern. Yeah. And the little kid does now it's an evil where he's like, don't forget the eyes. And, yeah. And so there, that's a nice wholesome moment. But that was what confused me, because then I was like, well, when did he cut his head off, That's why I was like, was it not hit that guy who he was burying? But I don't know. He might have been burying his body, but kept the head. But
he pushed the body down into the grave, which I'm guessing was the bad Santa kid, and his head. He already chopped the head off.
Okay.
The person who was already in the grave, the body, was the one who grabbed him. So we have no idea who the fuck that was.
It was just somebody. Anyway, then we cut to the kids from earlier who got the candy from the principal. And they're going and they knock on like a door. And it opens up. And this is when I was talking about their teacher, who's dressed as a sexy cat lady, starts like shaking her ass at the kids and flicking them with her tail. And she's like, do y'all want to come in and for some drinks, Well,
the background sounds you're hearing too sounds like a fucking orgy. Like,
yeah,
you could see people dancing in the back, quote unquote dancing,
but
it sounds like they're fucking, and I'm like, what kind of orgy is this?
Well, that one kid even had the line where he's like, I saw Mr. Fezbabomb but fucking whatever dressed as a hot
pig.
Dog.
Yeah. Everyone's in costumes and they're just having this orgy.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and I was just like, what's going on in this town? But yeah. But anyway, the kids meet up with this girl named Wanda, who's dressed as a witch or whatever, and she carved a bunch of pumpkins. Kind of just say, this kid cute as fuck. She came over and she was like,
really?
I'm ready for Halloween.
Like,
to be fair, she is a little weird, but she's cute.
Sure.
She was a cute kid. I was like, oh, look at this fucking kid.
They call her Wanda though. Like, they are like, one of the kids is like, isn't she retarded?
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck, dude.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, she's I forget what the fuck they said.
They were just like,
Um,
that's just her thing or something. I don't remember.
no, I need this quote. I'm going back into the movie. It was they're like, one of them's like, isn't she retarded? And then the other one says, no, she's just like willingly idiotic or some shit. Let me see if I can find it.
All right. I'll cut to when you actually find it, so it's not just us waiting.
Okay.
All right.
So it's the pirate kid, and he goes. They walk up to this kid's house. It's. They say it's really weird because there's a fucking lot of pumpkins.
Yeah, there's a
like
ton.
carved pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns. And the pirate kid goes, "Is that Rhonda the retard?" Quote,
Okay.
unquote. And Macy, the other girl, she's not a retard. She's an idiot savant. And I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And yeah, there's the quote.
All right.
Idiot savant.
Anyway, yeah. So then they get Wanda. They go walking about their business. Also, they're bringing jack-o'-lanterns. They all have jack-o'-lanterns.
They're trying to collect
Yeah.
jack-o'-lanterns. They say it's for like a school project or something. but
Yeah.
later on, you find out that's not the case.
Yeah. After that, it cuts to this chick who's walking around this who's making out with this guy dressed as a vampire behind like just in this alleyway, and they're like making out. And then dude starts like to kiss her neck, and then he ends up biting her. And this is when you find out he's dressed as a vampire or a vampire, you know. And he's like, and he's got his teeth. So she goes running. She eventually makes it out to where the party is happening, and she runs into the couple from earlier that started the movie. But the husband is like, she's just drunk. Don't mind her, you know. So they don't help her.
I didn't even notice that was the husband.
Yeah. So they don't help her. She's like, oh, and then it shows the vampire standing behind her. And he grabs her and it cuts, and then she's just laying there like all dead, and he goes walking off. That chase scene, you weren't in the episode. But that chase scene reminded me a lot of a chase scene in I'll always know what you did last summer or whatever. Or I know what you did last summer. Where this girl gets chased through an alley, and she just gets to where like the parade is, and then she gets pulled in. Like she just almost made it, and then she gets killed. But anyway, after that we go back to the kids. Through all this, by the way, you would see Suki. Her name in the movie is Lori. I only know that because it's fun. You know, we just did Halloween Kills, and she's named after Laurie Strode. So
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of fucking Lories
there's a lot of
in
Lories.
these goddamn movies.
I think I want to say that the movie you picked, The Night House, I want to say that the main character in that is named Lori.
Shit.
I was just watching another movie where the girl's name was Lori. But anyway, we go back to, so she's walking around just like looking at dates or whatever. It would do the classic thing where she would see someone and go, and then like their girlfriend would come over and she would go, oh, you know. We go back to the kids. This is when you get a thing where the pirate kid is talking to Wanda, and he's like, oh man, you must really like Halloween, which girl? And she's like, you mean Samhain? And she starts listing down like the history of Halloween and all this shit.
Yeah, she knows a lot about Halloween.
Yeah. And it's like a minute of her just doing this, and the pirate kid doesn't register any of this. And then she's just like, your pirate costume is good.
Yeah, she's going off all this Halloween like lore.
The lore.
And the pirate kid's like, oh, this bitch is retarded. But yeah, and then she's like, I like your eye patch. And the pirate kid's like, oh, thanks.
Yeah. But so the main girl of the group, I think you said her name was Macy. But she brings them all to this cliff, and this is when we find out what the purpose is for all these jack-o'-lanterns, because she tells them a story about these 8 troubled kids, which I'm pretty sure they just meant like mentally handicapped or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Yeah, instead of troubled, it was, But these 8 troubled kids who were always driven to school on the same bus or whatever, and then their parents, like, it's some dark shit where the parents were tired of dealing with them, and so they paid the bus driver to kill them all. Yeah.
Drive him off a cliff in the bus.
Yeah. And so naturally, he does. And he drives them all off the cliff. As you see the bus driving towards the cliff, by the way, it passes Sam, and he's just watching it happen. He's always around.
He was supposed to be on the bus, but it passed him by.
Yeah.
So it just like out of pure luck, he didn't get on the bus and didn't die.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, and the bus drives over the cliff. The 8 kids died, and the bus driver was never heard from again.
No, the bus driver lived.
Well, yeah, but they say they never heard from him again.
I have a theory that the fucking bus driver is the neighbor, the fucking principal's neighbor. The old man?
Did you not catch that? I mean, you're right. That is him. Did you not?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. Anyway, so the girl is like, we're gonna light 8 jack-o'-lanterns or whatever, to protect us, and for a memorial for the kids.
Yeah, for the 8 kids that died.
Yeah. So there's like an elevator, and I think she's like, it can only take, or someone has to be up there to switch it on or off or something.
They say it can only hold 3 people safely, and there's 5 of them.
Yeah. So Macy, like this older kid, he looked older to me at least, or he was taller than the other ones, and like this other girl go, and so Wanda and the pirate kid stay up above, and they wait for them to send up the elevator again. So as they go down, it cuts back to Sookie looking for a date again, and she gets a call from her friend, who's like, hey, I got this guy here who wants to meet you. And she's like, what does he look, or what's he like? And she goes, he's nice. And then she looks back, and it's just like this fat dude, like dressed as a baby, sitting there. And Maverick, can I just say, if he looked at all familiar, do you remember in 13 Ghosts that there was a ghost who was the fat baby, and he had like his ghost mom or something there?
Oh shit! Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
That's him. He made a cameo in this movie
No
as
way.
as his character from 13
That's
Ghosts.
insane. He plays one person.
One guy. I like to imagine
That's all
like
he has.
I like to imagine he's in movies where he doesn't even fit in. Like he's in the background of some like drama. Like he just
he's walking through set in his baby costume, and they're like, "What the fuck?"
And they're like,
"We gotta keep it in."
They're like, "That's George, man. He's the baby guy." But anyway, yeah. So yeah, she's like, he's nice, and so Sookie's like that. So he's ugly, and she's like, no. So after that, we go back to the kids. The other 2 kids come down the lift, and as they're coming down the lift, you get a cool shot of like their friends yelling, and they're like, "What is that?" And then one by one, their jack-o'-lanterns go out. And Wanda, once again, she goes to check, and she asks Pirate Kid, she's like, "Are you coming?" And he's like, "No." And then Wanda is so caring, where she's like, "All right, we'll keep the jack-o'-lanterns near you. They'll keep you safe. You'll be all right." And like I was just like, oh, this little fucking girl. And Wanda goes walking into the fog to find her friends. And as she's walking in, it turns into like a swamp and shit. And she finds like the submerged fucking bus from all them years ago. Don't ask me why they wouldn't have pulled that bus up or gotten rid of it, but it's here. And she sees like masks and shit floating around. And out of the ground pops a hand, and zombies. It's zombie kids, yeah. And they come chasing after her. She like turns a corner, and the pirate kid's getting eaten. They're like pulling out his organs, and she's like, ah. She goes running. She's crying and screaming and shit. And then she's like backing up away from them. And she slips on like I don't even remember what it slipped on. It was like the littlest thing in the world, whatever
a
it
little
was.
branch or something.
Yeah, and she slips and falls back and hits her head. And this is when the zombies are like, "Oh shit!" And you find out it was just the other kids who were pulling a prank
her
on
friends.
her. Yeah.
Fucking the most elaborate fucking prank
Dude,
I've
it's
ever seen in my
super
life.
elaborate. Like the planning to be like, all right, well, she's gonna go here. I'm gonna be underground. Like you guys are gonna be over here with these pig intestines or whatever they use. It was just wild. So they have to apologize to her, and they're like, it was just a prank or whatever. The main girl is kind of being bitchy about it, and she's like, she's just a baby or whatever. So she's like, Wanda's like, I want to go home. So they're like, all right, let's leave. As they're leaving, Pirate Kid blows out the last jack-o'-lantern they had right there. And so after that, they start hearing like all these ghoul voices and shit. And wouldn't you know it, the real Bus Zombie kids show up, and they start chasing after him. They like wrap a chain around the one girl's legs and drag her into the into the dark. And all the kids freaking out and they're running, and then they get to the lift and Wanda has shut herself in with one lit jack-o'-lantern that she has to protect herself. And they're like, "Come on, let us in." And my girl Wanda is a fucking thug, and she was like, and hit the button.
Yeah.
And just left them, and they die. That's it. It's game over for them. Yeah, and so I like that. I don't know what the rules are for those zombies. They might. I don't know if they come back as zombies too, or they're just dead. But anyway, shout out to Wanda, the OG. Then as she's leaving, once again, Sam's standing there, and they like stare at each other for a minute, and then she just goes walking off. We go back, and Suki is just walking through the woods, like just. I guess the party she's on her way to is in the middle of the woods, but she's walking through the woods, and she hears like some crackle and pops of twigs behind her, and she turns around, and it's Vampire Dude.
Vampire guy.
Yeah. And
Surprise.
And he goes chasing after her. They have a little and then eventually he finally catches her and he bites her. And it cuts to the party that her friends are having.
And now they're out in the middle of the woods at a bonfire.
Yeah. And
big fire.
A body gets tossed into camp, and it's wearing the
cape.
The cape. Yeah, Suki was dressed as Little Red Riding Hood, yeah. So a body gets tossed in wearing that hood. So they're like, "Oh, Lori?" And they go like walking over to her, and as they turn it around, it turns out it's Vampire Dude. And he's like, "Help me."
He's all fucked up.
Yeah.
He's all fucked up. And he's like, "Help me."
And you're like, "Oh shit, what's going on?" And then Suki comes walking in, and she's like, "I found him in the woods or whatever." And she goes over and plucks out his teeth. And so he's just dressed as a vampire, and takes off his mask. And wouldn't you know it, it's the principal from earlier who killed those fucking kids or whatever. And yeah, so he's here. And then the girls Suki's like, "It's finally time to lose my virginity or whatever." Turns out by lose her virginity, all these chicks are werewolves.
Werewolves and vampires.
Yeah, and so basically it was like her first kill or feast or whatever. So she gets on top of the principal. She's like, "It's my first time, so be gentle," or whatever she said. I don't remember. And she just turns into a werewolf and shit and kills the principal.
Was she a werewolf? Or she was on top of the dude? She was a vampire.
She was a werewolf.
Was she?
Yeah, she gets all hairy and shit.
I don't know.
The werewolf shit was crazy because, like, instead of just transforming into a werewolf, they were, like, ripping off their skin. Like, they were wearing, like, sleeves or shit. And they would rip off, like, their whole arm skin, and then they'd be a werewolf. It was wild. But, yeah, and then Sam is watching all this happen. And once again, I was like, "Sam, you're too young for this." They're like they're plowing and eating people, and yeah, it's so now after this we go back to kids knocking on this guy's door, and the door opens up, and you just hear like some growling, and you see these like eyes light up in the dark, and they're like, oh shit, and they go running off. Turns out we're back to the principal's neighbor's house, and he's like, ha ha, good dog, and he's got his dog wearing like these night vision goggles.
Yeah, he had scared some little kids.
Yeah,
And they like dropped their candy or something, right?
yeah, yeah, and he like grabs her candy and shit. He goes back in. We get some scenes where this is it ends up where we see him go and have the conversation with the principal through the fence and shit. Yeah, and he's like, fuck off or whatever, and he goes walking inside.
I want to say this is the first like where you see like it's the whole movie just loops.
Yeah, yeah.
And now you get the same conversation but it's from the neighbor's point of view, and he's talking to the principal. And I thought that was like a really cool like twist.
Yeah. And so once again the guy goes in and he sits down on his couch, and then the second he sits down there's like a pounding on his door, and he goes and opens up and he's like, get out of here, you fucking kids. But then he stops and he just sees all these jack-o'-lanterns on his porch. They're all lit up and shit. And as he's looking at the jack-o'-lanterns, he hears like something go upstairs in his house, and his dog goes running up the stairs, and he's like, what the fuck? So he goes running in, and what does he do? Oh, he goes walking into his house, and he's looking around for a while, and then he goes upstairs, and little Sam is just like hiding under his bed and shit, and he stabs dude like in the leg, and he gets out, and Sam
Dude has a shotgun
shotgun, yeah.
Yeah, he has a gun. Like he's going, and you hear him breathing like he's an old man.
Yeah, he's old as fuck. He's like
You
wheezing
can
and
hear him
shit.
breathing. Yeah, he's wheezing and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and so he stabs him. The dude like goes downstairs. And then Sam comes and he's like crawling on the roof. And he jumps down on the guy and starts just fucking beating him up and shit. Also, if you notice, he starts using it's this chocolate bar that has a razor in it, and that's what he's using for a weapon. That's the same chocolate bar that the principal gave him that was killing all the kids. So that's a nice little touch too. Is this fucking
Really?
principal?
I didn't
Yeah,
notice
that's a. Trust me, I didn't notice it at first, and then when I was looking up, it like they pointed out, and I was like, oh yeah. But anyway, so that's cool. That ties that in too. But as he's getting attacked is when we see him go to the door or the window and start saying, help me, you know, and then you see Sam tackle him, and so we finally find out what was happening in that scene. As they're fighting, he like rips Sam's mask off, and Sam is like a pumpkin demon.
Yeah, he's like a fucking alien almost.
Yeah,
It's
he looks
weird.
wild.
It wasn't a pumpkin, I wouldn't say, but it was just like an alien type of.
Well, I think he's a pumpkin.
Really?
Because
It was
then when the guy right
like
after
the
that,
shape of a pumpkin, maybe.
Well,
but like he's not orange.
well, then the guy right after that, he fucking shoots Sam in the face, and Sam, as he gets shot, he goes like, "Oh," and
He goes flying back
Yeah.
like the little dude in Pirates of the Caribbean when he shoots the blunderbuss.
Uh-huh.
He goes fucking flying across the screen.
But this is why I'm saying I think he's pumpkin, because then after that, the guy shoots him like twice in the chest, and pumpkin guts come out of his chest with like the little seeds and shit, the pumpkin seeds.
Oh, I didn't see any C's. I just saw like
Yeah.
something come out.
Okay. But anyway, dude gets, yeah, so Sam, he thinks he's dead because, I mean, he got shot in the fucking face, got shot in the chest twice. Dude gets up to go call the cops, and I missed whenever Sam's hand got cut off.
Can I just say, this is like one of the only movies where I've seen someone double tap him.
Yeah, right?
Like, you're always like, they're laying there in the movie.
Yeah.
And they got the other person has the gun, and you're like, just shoot him again.
Yeah.
Just to be sure.
And they never do.
This dude actually fucking does
This
it.
guy
And I'm
did.
like, oh, thank God.
Even though I will say he probably should have just aimed for the head a couple more times.
Yeah, he should just blew the head straight off.
Yeah.
And he has a fucking 12 gauge, like, scatter gun. Like, that fucking 12 gauge don't play around, man. It's like heritage shotgun. He grabbed off the fireplace. Like,
Yeah.
I need me one of them.
So dude gets up to go call the cops, and as they answer, the cord gets plugged. And I missed whenever Sam got his hand chopped off, because you look down and just his hand is there, and it pulled it off. And then it goes and it stabs.
I think he got like shot off.
Maybe,
or something.
okay.
I don't know.
I just didn't know if I missed like it getting cut off. But he goes and he stabs the guy in the leg again, and then it goes crawling over to Sam, and it like pokes Sam, and then he's like down here, and he's pointing toward, and Sam puts his hand back on, and he gets up and he like puts his mask on, and it pans over the guy, and the guy's like, oh no. He just so Sam gets up. This is when we see him use that lollipop, and he bites it off. And it turns into that knife that we saw from earlier.
Yeah, the lollipop knife was dope.
Yeah.
Man.
And he walks over to the guy, and he goes down to stab him, but he ends up just stabbing like a chocolate bar that was on the guy's chest.
He had it in his like chest pocket.
Yeah. And he takes the chocolate bar and he leaves. And I don't know exactly why he left, but part of me is like, because the guy wasn't giving out any candy, and Sam was all about following the rules on Halloween. So maybe like after he got the candy, he was like, all right, like, I don't know. I wasn't exactly sure why he let him live, but right before all this started, the guy threw a picture into the fire, and then as Sam is leaving, it pans over the fire, and you see that it's a picture of the school bus, and he is the driver. So he was burning the picture
Really?
when he was the school bus driver.
Yeah, I did not see that.
Yeah. So then that would make more sense when right after that he gets or later, times pass because he's like wrapped up his face and stuff, and he gets a knock on his door, and he goes out there with like candy. Or no, he just goes out on the porch to stand there, and you get like a sad shot of the neighbor kid like sitting on the porch waiting for his dad to come home, and like they're both like crazy, and presumably the kid's a killer too, but like knowing that his dad's dead and like that kid, he's not coming home. But it was a weird sad shot.
Yeah, his dad had told him he had a quote unquote date to go to.
Yeah.
But that was just going to go kill somebody. But yeah, his dad got eaten.
Yeah.
So he's not coming home. And then the neighbor notices the fucking couple coming home too.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the movie.
And this is when Sam's standing across the street, and this is when Sam sees him, goes walking over. And so once again, all full circle where he sees all this happening.
Yeah, you get it's when she's talking about blowing out the pumpkin, and she blows it out. And Sam is across the street watching him, and he's like, oh fuck no you didn't, bitch.
Yeah,
time to kill you.
Yeah. So dude goes back inside again, but there's one more knock on his door, and he goes and opens it up, and it's the fucking zombie kids from the bus, and they like jump at him, and it cuts back to the comic book style from the opening credits where you see the guy getting like ripped up and shit, and that's the end of Trick or Treat. Also, that whole movie, that whole ending shot, you see the couple going home, you see Sam again, and you see like the girls walking down the street all happy and shit, or driving by in a car all happy.
Yeah, in their little SUV.
Yeah, so that
on their way to go party.
That ending wraps up like every character you saw is right there in that ending. So, like I said, solid little Halloween watch. This movie had a budget of $12 million. And then it didn't go to theaters. It went to like DVD and Blu-ray. So DVD and Blu-ray sales, it made a little over $12 million. So made its money back. But I think it was at some film festivals too, but it wasn't released like in box offices and shit. Um, but let me see. Let's see some facts I have written down. Oh, I've already gone through them all. All right. Hey, best of, worst of for this one. It's hard. I kind of know what my worst of is. I'm trying to think of what my favorite part would be. I might give my best of to Wanda leaving the kids to die or whatever. I was just like, that's a gangster move, Wanda. I like the choice you made.
Yeah, she was thugging
Yeah.
for sure.
And that might sound cruel because in reality, them kids probably didn't deserve to die. But fuck them. Team Wanda.
Fuck 'em.
We're Team Wanda in this house.
Team Wanda out here.
Um,
Yeah, I thought it was a little asshole-ish, right? They just pranked her.
yeah.
But she was like, "No, you deserve to die." And I was like, "Oh shit, dude. Okay,
Yeah.
fine."
And my worst of, not all of it, but I'm gonna be honest. That last skit with Sam in the guy's house or whatever, I felt like it went on forever. Like just him looking for
It was
Sam.
kind of long.
Yeah, and the whole movie's very fast paced, and it just felt like it slowed down a lot. So like I said, once they finally get into some action, like it's enjoyable. But like the whole just him looking around the house for him and stuff, that was probably my worst stuff. But that's just a nitpick since I had to pick something.
Yeah, there was nothing big wrong with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like the story was amazing, dialogue was great, script was amazing.
Yeah.
But there was tiny nitpicks, like Tom said. And honestly, me and his best of worst of is the same. Yeah, there was nothing wrong with this movie. Like I was drinking while watching, I was like, "This is fucking pretty good."
Perfect.
Like,
Yeah. Like this movie is one of the movies where it has a story if you want to follow along, but it's also made to where you can just sit there and like not know what's happening, but still like you don't really need to know what's happening to enjoy it. Like you can piece it together for yourself, you know. But yeah, I like it. I like how everything's connected. One of my favorites is Creepshow, which is from like the 80s. It's a Stephen King wrote it and George A. Romero directed it. And George A. Romero is the guy who made Zombies. He made Night of the Living Dead and shit. And that movie is the same thing where it's like everything is a different story. But those are just completely separate stories. I like that it was all in the town. It all connected. At the end, you see everybody, like all the stories and shit.
yeah, weirdly enough, like it really only takes place in like this one street.
Yeah, if you
because
think
got
about it. Yeah.
you got the principal's house, and then the neighbor's house right next to him, and then across the street was the couple,
Uh-huh.
and then right next to them was the werewolves and fucking vampires,
Yeah.
and they were leaving in their car.
Yeah.
Not saying the whole movie took
No.
place on that street.
Yeah, but the only two I can think of is when they did the bus zombies and the party in the woods. But all the rest of it, I think, was on the street.
pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah.
But anyway, I think that's about it for this one.
Yeah, it was a solid watch.
It's a fun Halloween movie.
It's a good movie. Honestly, I'd recommend it. Just like not even being Halloween.
Yeah.
Even though it is a Halloween movie, it's a good watch when you got a beer in your hand.
And like I said, it flies by. Like
It is. It's a shorter one.
it's a
hour
short
20.
It's like perfect. It's like it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's great. So
Yeah.
anyway,
I don't know. Maybe because we just recently the other day watched 2 Friday the 13th, and then I'm watching this movie today, and I'm like, yeah, that's great. But after putting it
are you
after
trying to
those
say? What are you trying to
2
say?
Fridays, like even like we watched Freddy versus Jason, which is my favorite Friday. Like it's still like those movies are rough, man. They are rough,
Wow.
to say the least.
Disrespect.
I loved them when I was little, but I'm fucking 23 now, almost 24, and I'm
Mar-
like, God
Mary
damn,
said, I'm grown.
I'm grown, man. I'm outgrown
Yeah.
for the fucking Fridays.
Well, hey, next week we start the Friday the 13th.
I fucking kill myself, dude.
Anyway, all right. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you all had a good Halloween. This will be after you're all in and eating your candy and shit. So hopefully you had a good night. We're into November now. Halloween's over.
Halloween's over.
I don't know. I don't have any plans for the Thanksgiving episode.
We'll find something.
I mean, there's a movie called Thanksgiving that you've probably heard of. That's a killer turkey.
No.
Maverick said no. But anyway, thanks for watching. Friday coming out is The Night House, Maverick's pick.
Night House.
But that's coming out. What else good? Shorts are coming out. That Squid Game smoke break, it's coming. I promise. One of these days,
Fuck yeah, we gotta shoot that thing.
we'll fit it in. But anyway, like I said, thanks for watching. Happy Halloween. Maverick, got anything you'd like to add?
Oh, motherfucker, I bet you're scared.
I was just scared because you broke up, and it was just like, but what?
Oh, shit.
I was like, what did he say? And I was like, oh, okay. So, anyway. All right, thanks for watching. See you guys Friday, Night House. So long.